Vietnam is a country of extremes. For years, it was politically divided in two. These days, young people here are embracing capitalism in a single-party socialist state. Almut Meyer-Zollitsch heads the Goethe Institute in Hanoi. German culture still plays a special role here. Communist East Germany and Vietnam were once ideological partners.
Many of the people who work in the ministries here or in the country's major institutions studied in East Germany, and they came back with a very positive image of Germany. That gives us a big head start on a political level in terms of trust. For instance, we can put events on here without prior approval and without being subject to censorship.
More than 100,000 Vietnamese citizens and people of Vietnamese origin live in Germany, and learning German is very popular here in Vietnam. The Institute is also an important meeting point for artists in Hanoi. Here they can express controversial opinions. A recurring theme is the fall of the wall and East Germany.
When the film The Lives of Others came out, it was screened here 2 weeks in a row. Every evening there was a full house, and the audience held discussions and cried and said it's exactly the same situation here. Something like that leaves its mark.
There is political censorship in Vietnam, and it is strictly enforced. Social media like Facebook are outlawed. Tran Phuong Lan studied in Leipzig and later worked for the East German Embassy in Hanoi. Today, she looks after Vietnamese exchange students for the Goethe Institute.
Nowadays, in this courtyard, I breathe in democratic freedom. I am able to do what I believe is important and good. Back then, in the East German Embassy, we couldn't do that. We sat apart in the low-rise buildings behind these mansions. We weren't allowed to enter the main building without special permission. I can't describe what it feels like when you suddenly get so many rights, all at once.
Tang Luang is an artist and a frequent visitor here. He comes to meet people and make connections, especially with counterparts of Vietnamese origin who are based in Germany.
There's no real connection between us and the Viet Kios, as we call them, the Vietnamese who live abroad. The reasons aren't geographical, but psychological and historical. They've had a different education and upbringing, and therefore have a different perspective on Vietnam. That's why there's a big distance between us, and the relationship is complicated.
Kai Duan's works are on display in the Goethe Institute's gallery. The artist was born in Saigon but grew up in Germany. He combines traditional Vietnamese lacquer painting techniques with modern ones.
I'm interested in the topic of bipolarity because I see myself in some ways as being bipolar. I was born here and grew up there. They are two very different cultures. I'm always trying to do a balancing act. In most areas of life, I have a Vietnamese mentality, but in some areas, I think like a German.
Day in, day out, people pay their respects to the former communist leader Ho Chi Minh. But most Vietnamese have long put the past behind them and dream of a life in a democratic capitalist system. Many wealthy Vietnamese send their children to schools where they learn German from an early age.
Young people here are very inquisitive, and they're very pragmatic when it comes to things that they think will further their opportunities. Germany is considered an attractive place to study. So many want to study and then work in Germany.
Still, many who study in Germany return to Vietnam after a few years. But if they get to feeling nostalgic about their time abroad, they can always eat a doner kebab. Now typical German fast food, it was brought to Germany by Turkish immigrants, and it's available in Hanoi. A fine example of multiculturalism.